Good news from South Korea again. South Korea, where feminism has become taboo. It's about time. A hate movement is taboo in a country. So good to hear. Now, don't get me wrong. These are trad cons and they're going to have their failings, but we'll get into this anyway.
Korea is a rather hostile country for women.
Really, does this look like a hostile country to women? Women on a shopping spree with these big happy faces. These propagandists, in this case, France 24, they don't even know how to do their propaganda correctly.
It's become a taboo and therefore dangerous to call oneself a feminist.
Well, it's about time, right? Just like it should be dangerous to call yourself a white nationalist or a Nazi.
And express feminist values. Yeah.
There are radical feminist groups that are fueled by outrageous and ridiculous arguments.
No, there are typical feminist movements, and they have hateful messages. See, these trad cons get closer to the bullseye each time, but never all the way.
Not unlike fascist parties in Europe.
See, now that's how he's getting it. Not unlike fascist movements in Europe. See how close they're getting now? He's actually saying something that's true. Feminism is a hate movement, right? Now, look at what we got here. Pretty young girls with smiles on their faces walking hand in hand. Look at all the women there. Where are all the men that are attached to them? Nowhere. Why? Because what they're showing is female nature. They're not interested in us guys and never have been. Right?
Hello, I'm Annette Young, the host of the 51%, and in this week's special edition, we're coming to you from the
Sure, that you're the host of the hate movement. Okay, good.
South Korean capital of Seoul. This Asian economic powerhouse may be the world's 13th largest economy, but paradoxically, when it comes
The 13th largest economy. Right. What do I keep telling you guys over and over again? As soon as the countries become wealthy enough and safe enough, the mask comes off, right? And there's nothing paradoxical about what she's about to say here.
rights, it lags way behind other nations, according to the World Economic Forum. And
Actually, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is paradoxical. It's paradoxical that these South Korean men actually are fighting back. She's basically saying that once a country achieves success, the women attack the men and the country goes to shit for men. So I guess she is right about that. South Korea is the only one I really see fighting back.
under the current ultra-conservative government, feminism has not only become a dirty word, but a dangerous one too.
Actually, it isn't dangerous. These women do not suffer anything. No brutality. Right.
Gail was getting ready to leave her apartment. But the lack of makeup and short hair is already making a radical statement in this traditional society.
No, it's making a hateful statement. She's saying, I hate you men. You men have done nothing to me personally, but I hate your guts anyway. That's what the statement is.
A city that's also the global capital of plastic surgery, her appearance.
The reason why it's the global center of plastic surgery is because women love plastic surgery. Plastic surgery actually damages their faces, but it's a status symbol. It's right up there with the Porsche and the high-end house. This is something that women do to show off their status. They are 100% to blame for this.
Salone says she's a proud feminist. 여성에게 가해지는 꾸밈도도
Korean women work so hard to look good.
그래서 뭐 머리를
There's pressure.
for one another. See, remember where they showed that street where all those young women were there looking pretty and no men around them, right? They struggle hard to look good for one another. You've got to understand that. We're not in their minds.
To have long hair, wear makeup at work, be a certain weight, follow the latest fashion trends, and change hairstyles.
Following the latest fashion trends and getting the latest hairstyles is something women do no matter where they are, always of their own volition. This is what they do out of their own desire. So you've got to understand, you can't let them blame their shallow behavior onto men. That's what they're going to do each and every time.
A lot of money goes into this.
매번 바꿔야 돼. 이런
Yeah, a lot of money gets wasted. That's why it shows up in countries that do well, that become wealthy enough. Women can just spend their days doing, wasting money on frivolous shit like this.
경우가 굉장히 많습니다. Begayul identifies herself with South Korea's radical 4B movement,
Hate movement. That's what it is. It's a hate movement.
whose members vow not to have sex with men, get married, or have children with them.
There you go. It's not even, the children are neither here nor there. It's just that they don't want to have children with men. They hate men, and they're willing to sacrifice children to show their hatred. This is how evil and negative this kind of hate movement is.
The 4B movement is essentially about refusing to make an effort to look good, so as to not be an object of sexual desire.
Really. Now, I want you guys to take a look at this right here. Here's a woman who's a mother with a child. She's out in the daylight, so she's leeching off a man, right? Is she wearing makeup? Her hair isn't even particularly long. She's not wearing revealing clothing. She has no, what do you call it? It's no surgery, right? So men shack up with women like this all the time. So this woman, whose name I forget, when she's using lack of makeup and short hair, she is saying to men, I hate your guts. That's why the men are hostile towards her. You see, men don't really care. Women wearing makeup and long hair, that's for them, not us.
The 32-year-old activist made the extreme move after researching sex crimes online, a massive problem in this traditional Asian society.
Bullshit. That's a lie. And of course, what happened? She hated men to start with, so she went looking for it, right? She didn't stumble on this and say, okay, this has changed my mind. She always hated men. And she has zero reason to hate men. Men worship women. This is undeserved hatred. And this is what the nature of women is. Men have to come to terms with this.
Pornography is banned in South Korea.
There you go. This is what I'm talking about. The South Korean government bans pornography while working their men into their graves. Right? It's still anti-male in the end. And what are they doing, of course? They're going to try and demonize the male population from some rare fetish.
So in a nation which is a global leader in high tech, it's very easy to capture voyeuristic images of women with the use of hidden cameras, which is what these workers are searching for. It's called...
You see, now they're trying to claim that it's a common practice from the guys of Korea to put cameras in bathrooms. It might have happened once or twice. It's a fetish. You think that the average guy is into watching a woman use the toilet? Come on, that's a rare fetish. So they found a fetish and they're going to try and put it on to the average guy, average Korean man on the street. Remember, this is always an excuse to attack men.
Called Molka and is everywhere, even in these public toilets in the metro as well.
No, it's not everywhere. It's not everywhere. That's a just understand these are lies.
Signs reveal. And prosecution of these crimes is very low.
Why is it very low? Because for one thing, it doesn't happen anywhere often as they make it out to be. It's so obvious that the crime isn't being done, right? It's a rarity. So this is how evil these people are. They probably found one camera one time, and then they're trying to attach it to the average guy on the street. It's no different than when the British tried to make their 6 p.m. curfew for men in their country. A man murdered a woman, therefore all men have to be punished. See?
많은 한국 남성들이
Many Korean men consume this so-called domestic porn, and every
That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. She doesn't know what men are watching.
woman is scared of becoming a victim of illegal filming. This is our reality. When you see this, how can you trust your fellow citizens or your public?
No. How do men trust women? They can't. Because this shows up in every country. The country does well for itself. And then the women who have no reason to hate on their men start doing horrible stuff like this. Her hatred of men is completely undeserved. Completely. The mask is off.
Society.
동료 시민으로서나 아니면 연인으로서나 남성을 과연 신뢰할 수 있을까?
That guy
This is what I like too, is that finally these scumbags have to hide their faces. Over on this side of the world, it's the MRMs that have to hide their identity. The guys fighting for equality, for what's right. It's nice to see these monsters running around, scurrying around like mice for a change.
is also a publisher of a feminist magazine. She's meeting a fellow contributor who asked not to be identified since being outed as a feminist could result in losing her job.
Good. It's good to hear. It's never as painful as for men, though, as you guys know, because women will always have safety nets. But it's just good to hear that they finally have businesses saying, no, we're not going to have anyone who's part of a hate movement in our company, right? And even then, so what? You know, try being a black man in the 1950s South. Those guys got lynched and beaten up. These women don't know anything or haven't suffered in any real way. Look how well they're living their lives.
It's hard to believe, but even having short hair can make you a target in this country.
No, it isn't hard to believe. Propagandist, because they admit that having short hair is them telling men that they hate their guts. See how they try and spin this? It's like, oh, women's choices. Women can't even choose to have short hair. This is bullshit. Halle Berry, in her day, she had short hair. All the guys were lusting after her. No one cared, right? It's because these women, their short hair is a sign saying, fuck you, to the average guy who's never done anything to them.
Just recently, the video of a brutal assault on a female sales assistant by a man on the grounds he thought she was a feminist made headlines.
I read this article, and guys, they're leaving out something important. The guy who did this was schizophrenic. He didn't know up from down. So yes, he thought she was a feminist, but at the same time, he assaulted her because he wasn't of his right mind. They conveniently leave these out, these facts. It's lies by omission. Remember, this propagandist rag, France 24, they're always going to pull stunts like this.
굉장히 많이 위험합니다.
It's highly risky to be a feminist. Since joining the movement, I've cut my hair short. And in Korea, having short hair as a woman is a sort of indication that you're a feminist.
That you're a hater. Yep, exactly. But there's nothing dangerous. Your life is easy peasy. Who's attacking you on the street, asshole? Nobody.
I've received hostile glances from men in the metro.
Hostile glances. Oh no. It's the end of the world. All the black men that got lynched are crying tears for you.
One man even bumped my shoulder as he walked past.
Oh no. Bumped your shoulder. Did he leave a bruise?
So we're having to deal with these kind of physical threats as well.
Are they physical threats? Do you consider that? They're snubbing you. That's your big threat. These guys are snubbing you.
I've also experienced this kind of abuse online, such as countless rape threats when
That's a lie. It's a standard lie. They've been caught lying so often, you just know that they're lying. Right. This woman hasn't got rape threats. She's spouted her hatred, her undeserved hatred to men, and the men clap back. That's what abuse is. The men clap back. Told her to go fuck herself.
express my opinions.
For 3
Yeah, your hateful opinions get blowback. Good to hear.
years running, South Korea has recorded the lowest fertility rate in the world.
Now, why are these stupid propagandists bringing this up? They don't even know how to propagandize right. Low birth rates are due to women's choices. Men cannot force women to get pregnant. So it's 100% in the hands of women. So they're making these choices.
Women of reproductive age having fewer than one child on average. It's been dubbed the birth strike and is mainly due to women facing strong pressures to give up their careers.
No, it's not a birth strike. They're acting like women's choices, these shitty choices, are actually due to some kind of outward source. No, women do not want to get pregnant. It's a lot of work. They don't want to bother. They don't want to shack up with men. They don't want to get pregnant. So as usual, bad behavior, well, they consider it bad behavior, not wanting to get pregnant, is shifted to men or some outside source. I have nothing against women not wanting to get pregnant. None. But don't come to me and blame me.
After childbirth. Back at the cafe
And these women in their careers, they act like, yeah, I want what men have. No, you don't. You want career. You don't want a drudgery job. These women do not want to be worked to death. Vast majority of men who in Korea who commit suicide due to overwork, well, are men, right? You might find one woman. They're not interested in living men's lives. Now look at this woman here. Again, look at the terrible life she has to live in Korea. She owns her own business. And no one comes in and harasses this woman. No one is looking to give her a hard time. She's the one looking for trouble.
In our conversation with Beck Gaol is cafe owner Kim Jina, who explains the palpable anger among her peers.
You say palpable anger. Women don't like men, right? They have zero reason. This woman, she lives in the so-called patriarchy, which is bullshit. It's a matriarchy. But she'll call it a patriarchy, and she has all the rights any woman has, and any man has. She owns her own business. She's not forced to get married. She's not forced to have children. She's not forced to do anything. This is 100% the best life a woman could live. And this is how she chooses to live her life. as an angry, dissatisfied, hateful person. This is a subhuman. This is the antithesis of what I want my life to be. I want to live a life that's good and positive, that I actually get up in the morning and look at things and say, I love this, and talk positively about this or that or the other thing with other people, and hope. These people are evil, period.
It's the reaction to the Korean society, how Korean society treat us. And
Korean society allows you to do whatever you want. Really? Have they prevented you from becoming a store owner? And what do? Coffee. What do you actually produce anything? Do you produce steel? You know, are you a farmer who produces crops? No. All the bases of society, everything that the very roots of society, which is hard and grinding, that is for us men, right? You get to live on the top. You're living on the cream on top of the coffee. And you have the gall to say that you're treated bad. Fuck you, you hate monger.
it's to not have children, yes. And our reaction is not giving them, not producing.
The big smile. Not to have children. See, again, it's the children being sacrificed. Children aren't even people to these women, right? They're just objects to use. We're not going to give children. Who's going to look after you, you disgusting hate monger, when you get old? There won't be another generation, right? But again, they don't care. They just say, we hate men, and we're going to do everything to harm them, even if it destroys society. It's the old, what is that? The scorpion and the frog, right? The scorpion and the frog. Here, let's see if I can find that. Yeah, exactly. The scorpion and the frog. But if we crash the economy, we will both drown, said the frog. LOL, said the scorpion. Yeah, it's that old. The scorpion says, look, we both want to cross this river. And the frog says, oh, you'll sting me. And the scorpion lies and says he won't. So the frog crosses the river and the scorpion stings him. And then they both drown. The scorpion says, oh, I can't sting you because then you'll die and we'll both drown. And that convinces the frog. The frog is us. The frog is the man. The scorpion is the woman. The scorpion stings the frog anyway. And the frog says, why are you doing this? Now we're all both going to drown. The scorpion says, well, it's in my nature, right? So this is a perfect example of that. The men take care of women. The women attack men. It's in their nature.
Our future.
To the outside world, South Korea is the paradigm of ultra-modernity, an image reinforced by its K-pop bands and cinema.
And notice it's full of young girls in mini skirts selling their sexuality. You know, so they exist. This woman here, this disgusting man-hater, the ones with the short hairs, these women aren't exploited. They're exploiting the men. It's just that they say, look, we hate men so much, we don't even want to exploit them that way. We just want them working like dogs and us giving nothing, and just telling them each and every day that we hate their guts.
Yet the statistics tell a completely different story. For instance, it has the worst gender pay gap among OECD countries.
It's not telling a different story. The pay gap is an earnings gap. If it's the worst gap, that means the men are working that much more than women. That's all it's saying.
Yoon Ji-sun is a professor of philosophy who's written about the backlash.
How come she has long hair and wearing makeup then? Right. How come you're wearing makeup, lady? right? Because this is what women do. It has nothing to do with us guys.
Against women's rights.
2015년 이후 2030 젊은 여성
The women's rights movement has surged among women in their 20s and 30s in recent years.
Exactly. Your country has become top dog, first world, and the mask is off. That's right. It's not a particular kind of women. It's women in their 20s and 30s. In other words, the newest generation that took everything men do for women for granted.
And men who felt somewhat threatened by this have retaliated with an anti-feminist movement.
We don't feel threatened. We are threatened with a hate movement.
2020년
Many politicians instrumentalized this in the 2022 presidential election
불만을
to appeal to male voters.
드러내고자 했기 때문에
And one could argue that this is how anti-feminism became a mainstream sentiment.
Yeah, it's reaction. Know what pisses me off? People would disparage Demoram by saying it's always reactionary. It's a reactionary movement. But to me, that's a good thing. It means that men don't hate women naturally. It's only a reaction when we're attacked, which means men are peaceful and love women. Right? So it has to be reactionary.
It's become
The civil rights movement was a reactionary movement against the hatred of Black men. Not Black women, Black men. And of course, people see that entirely in a good light.
very apparent that to be a feminist in 2023 in South Korea has indeed become dangerous.
No, it hasn't become dangerous. It's become halted. These women aren't in danger. Another bold-faced lie. These evil people can never be truthful ever. They're anti-truth.
It's become a taboo and therefore dangerous to call oneself a feminist or even express feminist values. So many women are remaining silent for now.
They're wearing the mask. That's right. They're wearing the mask.
I believe that despite all this, we'll be able to restart the conversations and make policy demands for better women's rights.
Not women's rights. Women's rights is the stripping of men's rights. You have to get it, the framing right. It's a stripping of men's rights. That's what this is, right? So she's saying we can see, they're not, that's why they're not in danger, right? There's no danger. None of these women have been attacked. The worst case scenario, they got hostile glances and maybe someone wouldn't hire them, right? This is the worst. And this woman is a big smile on her face. You can see she likes the idea. It won't stop feminism because feminism is a hate movement and it's grounded in female nature. And she's going to keep on coming.
I'm meeting Lee Han, who's a true rarity in South Korea, a man who proudly calls himself a feminist.
He's a rarity? No, he's not a rare. Well, male feminists are dime a dozen. He's willing to attack other men, to pander to women. That's very standard. I don't know how much further I need to go. I'm not going to listen to this guy, men and feminism. You know, I'm not. Let's get to anti-feminism. Okay.
Divisions in a country already split by the Korean War 70 years ago. Fears over its highly erratic, militaristic neighbour means almost 350,000 South Korean young men each year face 18 months compulsory military service.
And the women don't, right? So there's the inequality that these feminists want to remain unequal, right? If their lies were, if this was actually truthful, if they were for equality, they would have been fighting for this against this from the start, right? But we all know that that's just a bullshit propaganda.
But women are exempt. effectively giving them a head start in their careers.
Okay, then Korea is not anti-woman in any way. It's anti-male like every other country. Thank you for admitting this, you failed propagandist.
And all of this playing into the hands of anti-feminists, such as its current president, Yoon Suk-yeol.
Playing into the hands. So the truth plays in the hands of anti-feminist, right? Because a hate movement is about lies. You know, come to terms, France 24. You guys are Darth Vader. You know, we're the rebels. Make no mistake about this. Now, it goes on for a while, but you know, I think I've made my point, right? Working mothers. No. See, working mothers there. They have a woman with a baby. They work less than men. Here, I'll skim through to see if there's anything else that I want to talk about. Okay, like I said, the trad cons never go all the way, right?
The frustration and anger of young men in this country, whether their opinion is right or wrong, is palpable.
Whether their opinion is right or wrong. This guy can't even make it say. See, he's saying, hey, it's one of these olive branchers. You know, why can't we all just get along? He's trying to pretend he's neutral, that there's no truth to this, right? It's all just opinions.
This is very worrying. If everyone just argues their own point of view, this simmering anger online among the youth could surface and boil over in society.
Yeah, think of greater society. Who cares that men are being abused and discriminated against, right? It's all just opinions that people are disagreeing. That's it, right?
Which could result in serious incidents, unlike anything ever before seen in Korea. Society needs to have conversations as a whole to ease these tensions.
Yeah, let's have conversations, right? And the conversations will be the hate mongers telling their lies and propaganda. And you, dude, have to finally come to the point where you're saying, say the truth and say, these are lies. These are lies, and I'm against that. This guy's not willing to it. He's still trying to beg the opposite sex to be nice to them. Continual failure.
And not jump to saying things like feminists are right, men are wrong. This will do nothing to help the frustration and the anger amongst the youth.
Yeah, shut up, dude. Okay, I'll see if working mothers have anything to do. If talk about an oxymoron.
To see more of. But she is one of the few mothers in her neighborhood, and even rarer, a working mother at that.
Wow. You see, it's a rare working mother. You know why it's rare? Because women get married so they don't have to work. And of course, what are they going to do? They're going to try and skew it with the idea that men are forcing women not to work when this is their choice.
I only have one friend who's had her baby a year before me.
By the way, what does this woman work for a living, right? What's her job? I bet she's part-time, and the job is something that she doesn't have to put work gear on for, right?
The rest of my friends are married, but either don't want to have a baby or
They're married and don't want to have a baby. Are they part of the 4B movement? No. So again, this is women's choices, and men cannot allow them to place their choices onto us. We cannot be blamed.
want to wait until their 40s for the sake of their career.
그렇게 나이가 더 많이 찼을 때 낳고 싶어 해요.
In a society once steeped in Confucianism, a woman was called on to submit to her husband while taking care of the family.
Well, that's a joke. There's never been a society where women submit to men ever. And that includes Confucianism. Right? I'm not going to play any more of this. This is just more bullshit. See, look at the easy life this woman's living off this, her male servant. She's dying to have a baby because she felt like it. It's not for him. She just felt like it. Understand what's going on. It's, how am I going to end this? It's like, let me just stop here for a minute. Women's nature is hostile to men. Men look after women. Women attack men more. This is living proof of it right here. And men have to come to terms with this. These Koreans, their society is going to crash and burn if they don't come to terms with reality. The men in Korea have to come to terms with gender dynamics and female nature. They got to be able to say what it is truthfully and deal with it. Period. Again, this woman has, her hatred of men is completely undeserved. Completely. And men have to come to terms with that. And that's how we're ending this.